What's up, guys? Good morning, I must say, and happy October. I just realized that it says it's the 30th of September. Sorry, it's been a hectic couple of hours. I wanted to do this match preview yesterday evening, but I got out of my university. And guess what happened to my car? I left the lights switched on and the battery ran out. So, yeah, I didn't end up going live yesterday evening, also because it was the Champions League. So I'm live in the morning. You're gonna see us this afternoon. Europa League second game, another French team. Are we in the League One or are we in the Europa League? Nice first, Lille next. What is this? Are we in France? No, jokes aside. First home game in the Europa League. Chance to go 2 for 2. And of course, chance to get 6 points out of 6, which I think facing these teams is very important. I always repeat this. Look at what Lazio did last season. I never admire them for nothing because they will always remain secondary to us. But one thing that I was jealous about last season is that they won basically every single game in their Europa League table, which meant that they got first. And any other team would have probably reached the final had they had that path in the semis, in the quarters, in the round of 16. We need to try and do that. We need to try and get first in this group stage. Really, I'm not saying this just because, oh well, it might be very easy to say, but we can get first and we need to try and get first. And I think the plan here is, because I don't personally think we've got incredibly complicated games. The plan here is full points for Scotland, so that we get to Scotland when we play both Rangers and Celtic, which on paper are the most complicated ones, but both Rangers and Celtics are weaker than us, but technically they're the most hostile games. So the plan is get full points in preparation for those games, which leaves you a bit of an empty space in case you have a mental breakdown and lose, because I can understand us not winning every single game and losing some points in one of the two games in Scotland. So we need to win this game. Now, I think this is a very interesting game because we spoke about Nice last week. We beat Nice last week, and we spoke about how French teams are very weird. And I mean, look, I don't change that. They play in the French league just like Nice did. I must say Lille are better than Nice. Lille are better than Nice for various reasons. Number one, I think they've got more quality in their current team. Number two, they definitely have more European experience. As I said yesterday, they played in the Champions League last season. And number three, they're higher in the league than Nice. So it's definitely a step up. But again, I always relate to the fact that when we play at home in Europe, I think we can beat anyone. We haven't lost a European game at home. I think the last time was when we got knocked out by Porto ages ago. I think that was the last time we lost at home in Europe. It's been so long. Again, let's not jinx this. But in Europe at home, we transform. And no matter who sits on our bench, no matter who plays, we transform. The fans transform in a European night at the Olympico. So I'm confident for tomorrow's game. Again, it's a game that can also act as a trampoline jump for Fiorentina before the break next weekend, which is not an easy game. Speaking about Lille, of course, Lille played the Champions League last season, so we must treat them with caution. It is true that they lost a lot of players compared to last season. They lost Jonathan David. They lost Zigrova. Both of them actually went Juventus, if you think about it. And then they lost other players, which were a big part of that Lille team. Lille have always been that team, which kind of like a Benfica, which prepare and produce a lot of young talents and then sell them for so much money. I look at Osimhen. So they've got interesting names. Of course, they've got Olivier Giroud, who knows Italian teams well, won the league with Milan. Again, he's like 40 years old, surely. So not that he's going to be the biggest of threats. But Lille are a team that you have to treat with caution because they're not Nice. They're better than Nice. The one thing that I read about Lille is that they're missing a lot of players. They're kind of halved. They're coming from a defeat at home against Olympique Lyon in the league. They're currently 6th, but they're in an emergency crisis because they've got a lot of injured players, which is an advantage for us, I guess. But look, I think this game is very important, guys. As I said in these first 5 minutes, we need to get 6 points out of 6 after tomorrow. Because after this game, I believe we've got 2 easy ones. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after this one, we've got Victoria Pilsen and Midtjylland. We've got Victoria Pilsen at home, which is an easy 3 points, technically. Then we have Rangers away, and then we've got Midtjylland at home. So technically, if we get full points after this game, I think we're in a very good position to advance in the first 8. Then, of course, we want to get the highest as possible in those first 8. But if we do win against Lille as well, then, I mean, it's very early still, but I would say we have 1 foot in the 8 teams, because I don't see us losing many other games after this one. Speaking about us, I think Gasperini is not a fan of a turnover, but I think we're going to see a few changes. For instance, let's look at the predicted 11. I think there are going to be a few changes because I think a lot of players were depleted after that Fiorentina game. And we have an important game in Florence this weekend as well. Of course, we can't snub this game and we won't snub this game. But that's my predicted 11. Svilar in goal. In defense, I think Ndika rests, which is massive because he never rests. But I'm like, he got subbed off because of cramps. It's just cramps, yes. But, you know, Hermoso can start this game with Mancini next to him and Cilic in a back 3 who's solid. Hermoso, again, we've always seen him instead of Cilic, but technically that's his correct position. So he knows how to play there. Again, I think without Ndika, we might concede a goal. I think Ndika is the big and main glue of our defense. But I think Ndika rests. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays, but I just think he rests. In the middle, I think Wrench has proved to start in European games, and Wesley has proven to start in Serie A games. But I must pull this controversy now and say, up to now, I've been more surprised by Wrench than Wesley. Forget the goal that Wesley scored, which gifted us 3 points. Good goal, but lucky goal. But apart from that, I'm expecting way more from Wesley. And I think, as of today, I'd rather start Wrench over Wesley. So I'm going to put Wrench, and I'm going to put Semikas on the other side, which is 100% going to start this game, because Angelino played against Verona. In the middle, I think Manu rests. He's played every game. Against Verona, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't perfect. He was feeling that fatigue for sure. I think Elenawi and Cristante start this one. In case of emergencies, Manu comes in. But fingers crossed we won't need it. And then up front, Soulé, El Shaarawy and Ferguson. I mean, look, Soulé had cramps after the Verona game. But the issue is that with Dybala injured, with Bailey injured, with Baldanzi out of the UEFA list, Soulé's kind of forced to start. If there are any question marks up front, it's whether El Shaarawy or Pellegrini start, but it's not if Soulé kind of is in a position where he needs to start because Baldanzi's not on the UEFA list, Dybala's out and Bailey's out, so he's the only one to play in that position. So Soulé needs to play. I think Ferguson starts this one. And he needs that goal. Just like Dovbyk needed that goal against Verona, Ferguson needs it. We really don't need and can't afford to have another striker kind of fall in depression. We need a goal, a Ferguson goal coming from somewhere, a set piece, a tap-in, I don't care. He just needs his first goal. And then El Shaarawy next to him. But I kind of want to see Pellegrini, but I'm always a bit cautious with Pellegrini because he got back from a heavy injury and he's playing a lot. He played 90 minutes against Verona as well. So we're really not in a position to risk him. But again, I think Pellegrini right now is better than El Shaarawy. Look at the Nice game. He got subbed in and changed the game. Yeah, look, that's pretty much it, guys. My prediction for tomorrow is I'm I'm not sure whether we'll keep another clean sheet because I know the importance of Ndika in our back three to keep clean sheets. But I'll be positive. Actually, I think we'll concede tomorrow, but we'll win. I'm gonna go 2-1 tomorrow. 2-1, Ferguson scoring his first goal and Sule scoring again. That's my prediction. 2-1 to us. 2-0 to us. No, 2-0 / 2-1 is what I think will happen tomorrow. Other than that, let's see what the other teams do in this Europa League game week. Villa are playing it in Rotterdam against Feyenoord, so hopefully they drop some points. But focus on ourselves, feet on the ground, game by game, grind points, grind points. Gasperini in his press conference today will say, Kone got interviewed and said that the Europa League is a big objective. We have to treat it well. We have to treat it differently from how we treated it last season. And if we do treat it differently and well, then there's a high chance that we lift this trophy. But as always, football is weird. Football goes against, on paper, predictions. So it's about one thing and not the pitch. And if we can get 4 points after 2 games in the Europa League, it would be cherry on the cake to also move towards this international break. I'm going to keep it short, guys. Hit the like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a few hype points and everything, and it would be greatly appreciated. I'll catch you very soon. Simo out.